Well, you know it must be Wednesday. Did I just see a yawn? Did I just see a yawn? You all right, Vince?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there big time.
Okay, I'm Charles Morse, and this is the original Coach Carter, where we come to you every Wednesday night right here at 11 p.m. It's 10 o'clock his time. He's in
10 o'clock
Tennessee.
my time.
Yeah. Where we bring you Youth Central Sports right here at www.youthcentralsports.com. What's I want to say? How you doing, Vince?
Doing really well. How about yourself? Over in Florida, 100 degrees. Had a day-to-day that reminded me so much of Florida. I was out on the football field doing some training out there. Boy, I said, this got to be Florida. Let me look around. This got to be Florida. Well, 99 degrees, but doing well up here. We're headed toward some cool temperatures. Got some rain coming in, so we're looking forward to some cool temperatures.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, you know, we're still in summer mode here in Florida, so you know what that means. Where the showers come in for about 10
Yeah,
15 minutes, every day, and it's about 94, 95 degrees, and it'll be that way probably until the
yeah.
end of September, of course. And October is my favorite
We're
month
hoping.
because that's when it started to cool off a little bit, and the nights are nice and cool, and the days are nice and warm. So October is my favorite month,
Well, we're going
also
to
because
have.
you have football, baseball, basketball, and hockey.
Yeah, getting a little bit of that up here. High school program. So at my high school, we currently have volleyball going. We have football going, and we have a couple of other golf. Some golf is being played. Basketball, we're starting, and so it's becoming multi-sport time. And I'm really excited because volleyball is going on, football is going on. I mean, basketball is right around the.
Okay. Well, um, wanted to ask you something because I wanted to call you on Monday to ask you a question, uh, and I always like to thank you for your service.
Mhm.
That you serve your country,
Right.
and just for a minute, Senator McCain, who passed away,
Hmm.
and for and you know his story.
Right.
And I've been asking this question for people that I know that serve the country. I called up my uncle who retired as a colonel. I even asked his wife, who had worked at the Pentagon for over 20 years, and several other people who have served the country. For McCain, who didn't, what we would say, came close to paying the ultimate price, but he didn't, because he actually was a prisoner of war for 5 years, and understand that he was tortured, arm was broken, and all these other things that took place. And as a person who served in the service, you can understand what that really means. So, and I'm asking you this just because of you served and your fellow guys that you served with, and I'm just asking you from a personal standpoint, when the president of the United States has a problem of recognizing this man and also has to be taken to the woodshed in order for you to lower the flag to have staff, how does that make you feel for somebody who served this country as a prisoner of war, and at the same time, as he sit and talk about these football players dishonoring the flag? So how do you calculate that? How do you process that?
Well, very put it simply. I think it becomes by the way you look at it, and part of what I look at is ignorance, willful ignorance. It's different to me. Ignorant. This is willful ignorance. This sickle ignorance. This is by we're gonna create a segregated issue because you're mad, and he's definitely his administration has demonstrated it's like behavior who doesn't like you, or if you don't comply to what they want, that you're treated disrespectfully. That's how I felt what this man had done. While politically I didn't always agree with him, Definitely, we were in different parties. The things that I learned to appreciate about him, that he wanted things fairly. And I had a great appreciation for that. Again, politically, we didn't agree, but he wanted, I think, being a prisoner of war, going through what he went through, he was a true patriot for this country. He loved this country first and foremost among everything that he did. He really tried to work, I believe, on everything that I've read and seen on a bipartisan. It's about what's best for the country. And as a maverick, as they call him, I would call him a maverick today because we don't have that mindset. So it was disappointing, very disappointing to hear the administration, the national anthem in that way when the whole intent, what that and it has nothing to do with the narrative that's being proposed. I go back to I've said on this several times, Dr. Martin Luther King, somewhere I read where you have the right to protest for right. So it's emotion because I honor service as a fellow serviceman. I've never been a prisoner of war, but just having read about that, having watched the different documentaries, trying to understand what that was like, and then to come out from there, he was a champ in life. That he looked back on some of his political decisions and felt like he changed and he saw the world in a bigger picture, and he wasn't afraid to speak out. That's what I came to appreciate about him. And then he was for what was right, and the people around him said if he thought you were wrong, he would tell you that. And he had some good friends who were on the other side of the aisle, and they used to fight like cats and dogs. But at the end of the day, they were friends. So I'm hurt. I was disappointed, very much so. But again, wanting to dwell and spend my time on that as much as I celebrate what he was trying to accomplish, the celebration of his life, both as a military person and as a non-military person. I have, over these last 18, 19 months, whatever it's been since we've had this administration, I've become desensitized to the foolishness. I don't spend much time listening to that nonsense. I try to get the good that's in front of me, take that and run with it, and not let myself be polarized with that nonsense, because I think it's all a game, it's foolishness. So wasting my time to deal with it in that sense, I'm gonna let it take up all of my time. So here's a case where again I was disappointed, I was hurt, because the ultimate sacrifice that he paid by being a POW. And listen, he had a chance to leave early and chose not to do so.
Right.
That speaks volumes. He was disappointed that he ended up writing a confession, a conciliatory letter, if you will, of his deal as they presented to him, and he felt bad about it, but he just couldn't take it. He broke his arm both of his arms multiple times. It constantly got him beaten, and even when they offered him to go early, and he not one of the soldiers, one of his captors told him, it's going to get really bad for you, and then they amped it up even more. And then to come out, man, as a patriot for this country, that hurt. It hurt me as a fellow serviceman. It hurt me as a human being. Just taking away the politics, just taking away the differences, talking about what it is that he's done, what he was trying to do, is what we say we are about. It was so disappointing. So for me, I was.
Okay. Yeah, I've like I said, I had about a 45-minute conversation with my uncle who served in the Army, who retired as a colonel. Talked to his wife, who worked in the Pentagon for over 20 years. She gave me her feedback. Several other people who served, and I can't repeat what one of the other gentlemen told, what Pastor Jenkins' brother said in reference to what he said. He served in the Marines. I had him on the show on the Journey 2020 a few weeks ago, what it was like to serve on the front line at Vietnam, and to hear his stories and how It's like wow, because you understand that war is just not a good thing at all. I mean, it's just not a good
No,
thing at
and
all.
many
But
people, many people's perception of war is what we see on television as is depicted on there. And there have been some very graphic interpretations of that, but war is even worse than that. There's some things about war that we don't really hear about. It's more than just the conflict that takes place on that ground. It's that mental stress that comes afterward, not to mention the physical harm that one has. It's a terrible thing. It's just an absolute terror. It's necessary. I guess it was necessary. I guess because there are some times when war is necessary, but it has to be, in my mind, the very last resort because it is so devastating in so many different ways.
yeah, I mean, I was talking with Dr. Robinson a few weeks ago, actually last week, and he shared a story with me. One of the gentlemen at his church was in had a hand-on-hand combat, and
Mm-hmm.
he ended up killing the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then come to find out, after they went through and was going through his pockets and everything, and he said the guy he looked like well, come to find out he was only like 16, 17 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and had a little picture of maybe it was his sister, his girlfriend, or whoever that he had on him, and the gentleman took that picture off of him and kept it for years. He just kept it in his wallet for years, and finally, years later, he went to the memorial, and there in Washington D.C., and where they had all these names of all these soldiers who had died. And what he did was he after keeping this picture in his wallet all these years of this female picture that he took off this soldier that he killed, he finally just took it out of his wallet and burned it in reference to he was just a closure for everything at that moment at that
Mm-hmm.
time because I guess he was still dealing with the fact that he killed this young man,
Yes.
and what
Yeah.
that felt like. But
Mm-hmm.
he just left it there at that time and just let it all go and just walked away from it and to say I'm letting all of this go. But it's stories like that, and then when you hear and understand that this McCain, who was captured and da 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 and had the choice of coming home, he didn't, and then you hear the president talking about these guys that's kneeling for this flag and patriots, all this other stuff, and it's I can't say what I want to say, but I just wanted to ask you your opinion on it. That's all. That's all.
Disappointing, heartbroken. Really trying not to let myself be fit by this reoccurring foolishness that we're faced with every day. This political smokescreen and the dirty dealings that's going on. I'm trying to maintain a different kind of outlook. So this was very hurtful because of what this man attempted to represent. Despite, and I really appreciate the fact that he did mention that he had made errors and he had made bad decisions. He really tried to live to what we talk about, trying is transparent as possible. But he was still human, and he still had his opinions, and obviously you look at his humanitarian efforts that I really have later on began to appreciate. Not only the way he handled Obama, he handled Obama in two phases. One phase he called him this one, and I really thought that was a low shot at him when they were on the stage together. But I also saw in other campaign speeches where he defended the fact that he was another human being, regardless of their differences. And he said what he was a decent man. He was a family man. He said, I disagree with him on many of his political views, and I want to win this race, but not at the cost of of dehumanizing this man, as many people wanted to put that. Now, and obviously statistics bear out that was not popular for him, but that takes a lot. That takes a lot to take that stand.
Right.
That within your own party. When he did the Obamacare vote, he didn't care how anybody felt he made his own decision. Now, could some of that have to do with his illness and what have you? And he was trying to look at his life differently. Yeah, I think it did, but the history previous to that, he was that kind of a guy. And I'm listening to all the reports that are being done now and the coverage that's being given. And one of the questions that you're hearing consistently, and one of the questions I have, how many more of those guys do we have?
Right.
Or where can we get some more? So that this would change this whole dynamic that we're dealing with, because we're so far from politics right now, it's unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, what's happening now is just, this is not politics. This is nothing totally different. So again, this whole thing just very disappointing.
It was interesting because I did ask someone who had served in the Navy, and her response was, I considered, and it was just interesting the way she said it, because she said I considered McCain a man, and Trump is just not a man to me. And I was like, whoa, okay, all right, okay,
Well,
wow,
you look at that, and I think that's probably a conversation for another time. But
right,
when you say that, I think she, and just in that statement alone, invokes an awful lot of thinking and process and dialogue. And what you're talking about is how do you define a man?
right,
And what is the definition of man? And when you look at that, and you really, as I'm envisioning it now, I can clearly see what she's saying. And it has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with
right,
how we look at the economy and all that kind of stuff. A man is a man. One of the things that many people are saying as it relates to the president, you have an awful lot of opinions about what happened in the military, and you never served, and you dodged. You
right.
tried not to serve. So
Well,
it's real. I'm not saying you got guys who've never played the game or were not very good at the game that became a coach of the game. Well, the difference is they became a student of the game.
right,
And that's not what I'm hearing right now as it relates to this current president. He's not becoming a student of the office of president. He's trying to bogart. He's trying to treat it like he would, like it's his own, and it's not. And that's one of his many faults, is that this is not your government. This is not something that you run. There are rules and regulations that prohibit that. And the other insulting thing I'll add to that is those people that are around him that are allowing this, who are sitting silent while he does this, is equally to me as disgusting. But nevertheless, I will not let that take away from the fact that of what McCain said. I like the way he set up his eulogies, people he invited, and he did something that I think I would do. There were some people I don't want to be there. I'm gonna make sure I leave a list. These 9, 20, or 25 people, don't let them come. And I think that said an awful lot. So again, disappointing. I say all that to say I'm disappointed and I'm hurt that it was mistreated.
okay. Well, what you think of Larry Fitzgerald among the guys that's gonna serve, I guess, at the memorial? I guess. Did you know that?
I had not been a little disconnect on that part, but this is what happens when you treat life as a humanitarian and try to treat life in a transparent way. Again, not trying to be perfect, not trying to say I made all the right decisions, but trying to put things in a form where we can all treat each other as human beings. You get people who want to be involved, and I think that's what I'm hearing. A little bit, I do understand that you want to be a part of that tribute. That I want to attach myself to someone who's trying to make a difference, whether we agree or not. On a political thing, he really tried to say, "Hey, let me look at you for who you are." Sure, he had his likes and dislikes and so on, as do I, you, and everybody else. But trying to forge ahead and say, "But we're all one people, and we're all one nation, and we're supposed to be the
Yeah.
the
Well,
the model for the world."
right.
So yeah. So I applaud them. I think there will be a lot of people who, from all walks of life, that want to pay tribute to his effort.
Yeah.
One of the things I've been reading, they're treating him almost as if he was a president, although he ran twice and was unable to get it. He's getting that kind of respect, and that has nothing to do with who he lost to or how he lost, but what he tried to do.
Right.
and that's the big difference. That's a huge difference.
Yeah. 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 Well, Larry, for those that don't know, Larry Fitzgerald plays for Arizona. He's been in the
Hmm.
league. I think this
Cardinals.
is, yeah, right. Been in the
Hmm.
league for 11 years. Played at Pittsburgh.
Hmm.
Have been one of the best wide receivers in the league since he came into the league. I think 11, 12 years ago. Have you did you check out Aaron Rodgers' contract, man? I mean, it is so funny because and I guess that's what we do because I guess when you make that kind of money, people talk. And
Hmm.
so they was talking about how they stacked that contract on the front end, and
Hmm.
I think he's going to be making about $33 million a season. You
Hmm.
know, and then I think the second biggest is Matt Ryan of Atlanta.
Yeah,
So
he's coming in about 33.5 million per season, plus an
right,
incentive that he'll receive nearly 103 million.
right,
So, I mean, when you're playing this game and you're playing it at a high level, and then people have to perceive your value. Now, he's been a valuable part of what they do, no question about that. Um, just as valuable as a Tom Brady at Boston, or well, somebody else that you may want to call. So I think it's fitting. I mean, numbers are staggering, but uh, this is this man's work. This is what he do. This is what he puts and spent an awful lot of time at. Probably going back years, and this is the payoff. Now he's got to produce. Now he's got the big contract. Now he's got to get out there and produce, and that's the challenge because he doesn't always have control over. Uh, he's got and I hate to say this. I hate saying this because I don't want to jinx him, but he's got to stay injury free too.
but how have you seen? I mean, is have you? Well, is this rare that you would have Brett Favre and we know Brett Favre. Then right behind Brett Favre, there's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, how as a franchise, it's like wow, here you
Yeah,
are,
but
Brett Favre, and then right behind Brett Favre, here's Aaron Rodgers.
well, remember now, you're right behind it, but it's been a while for him to get to this point. He's been playing for a while. He was a backup for a while. He had to come in after Brent left, and he took the team, and they had some success, and they with their ups and downs. He's proven his consistency and his value to the team. So, yeah, it's I don't know if it's that rare or not. I'm not sure. I would say it's rare because if he had come right out the gate and they paid him that kind of money, I would think that would be rare. But the fact that he's proven and put in his time, something that we talk about a lot, being honoring your craft by working hard at your craft and never giving up on your craft, putting that extra time into that you can. This is the payoff. This is the payoff. You get these kinds
Well,
of contracts.
well, I meant from the standpoint that here you are as a franchise, you have this level of play at the quarterback
Mm-hmm.
as Brett Favre, and then right
Mm-hmm.
when Brett Favre leaves, you got it didn't tinker off, is what I'm saying. So you went from one
Kudos to the
superstar
team. I
to
mean,
another superstar.
yeah. Well, the development. You look at when Monahan, when Joe Montana was out there in the 49ers and Steve
Right,
Young came
right.
behind him.
That's another perfect
That's
example. Yeah,
kudos to the coaching staff and to the player development and those guys, the strategy of the team is looking at, what I have in my arsenal. I think you could look at what happened to the Cowboys. You had Tony Romo, and here comes Dak Prescott, for that. Now, I think Dak came a little earlier than they thought he would. And he was pushed into service because Tony was having injury issues. But that's good. You say it's good planning, but it's also some luck as well. Yeah, but they did some good drafting, got the right people in place, and one of the things that happened, unlike for Prescott and these other guys had time to really get in their roles. He's learning. He's OJT. He coming in. He got to get at it right away. He's OJT and doing the reason. I think he's doing well at it. But Aaron Rodgers had time to kind of work toward it, but it's paying off for him.
I've never asked this question, but you would be the person to ask this question too. Was there much of a fall off when Roger Staubach retired and then Danny White came on? When White came on, how much was the fall off for that? I mean, was there any?
I think it was experience. It's one of the things that you hear these guys talk about, especially in football. I don't hear it as much in basketball, and I hear it a little bit in baseball. Is number of reps. Basically, especially at that level, the starter gets all the reps. I mean, he gets all the situational football and stuff. So that other guy's learning as he goes along. He gets some reps, but he don't get all the major reps and stuff. And you say, well, that shouldn't make a difference, but it does. It's a matter of familiarity, repetition, cohesiveness with that unit and stuff like that. So yeah, there was a slight drop off. There were two different kind of quarterbacks. I really thought Roger had been there a while. His football IQ was high. He knew Landry's system inside and out. Danny was a good student, and later became what I thought was a highly efficient quarterback, but he wasn't a Staubach. He was not. He was not a Roger Staubach, and no disrespect to Danny White, but he just wasn't the same. Then when Troy Aikman came and Don Meredith came along, different kind of quarterback. Then you got Troy Aikman coming kind of quarterback, and I think in there again going back to where they draft and who they look at, they brought Troy Aikman in with a football IQ, and they were ready to pay that young man some serious money right out of the gate, which I thought much. But he did go out and do some good stuff. So yeah, but back to your question, yes, I thought there was a slight drop off.
Yeah. I was, man. You know, back then when the Dallas Cowboys was like true the American team. You know, back when they was doing their thing with Landry and they still had that magic, but not quite when Roger was there. You know that.
Yeah, different. Yeah. And then too, people said this doesn't make a difference, but you got a right hand to a left hand. It does make a difference. Things change. You know, the strong side of the line now changes from one side to the other side. Plays. You know, while you try to be balanced, you tend to go to your strong side. And he was a leftist, so you're going over on the left hand side. So, you know, all those little subtle differences you have to work on. And later on, they were able to work all that in, and it got to the point where he was efficient. I mean, he got the job done. I was a Roger fan, though. I mean, I was a Roger Staubach fan. So I was like, okay, well, we got to go. But Roger, you can't play forever. So I was a Roger Staubach fan, though.
Yeah. He was something to watch. Did you see where?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. Did you see where Ginobili is retiring after 16 seasons?
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, he came back. He wanted to retire last year, and they talked him into coming back again. And I think now that some of the Kawhi's gone, Parker's gone, I think that Pop's going to coach another 2 years or so. I think they're saying Pop might go in 2020. I think Ginobili just said, "Listen, we're not going to have that kind of team. We're in a rebuilding stage. I don't want to rebuild. I might as well go ahead and go now." Tragic. I mean, it's not a tragedy, but she's going to be missed tremendously. I mean, he's been a mainstay with that team for for the number of years that he played, and highly efficient and productive. But Father Time is catching up with him.
It is going to be so weird to see the San Antonio Spurs, man, and then without him, without Park, without Duncan, all those guys, man. It's just going to seem weird. It's just going to seem weird.
Well, the league is going to look different too, with LeBron being on the West Coast and not on the East Coast. Some of those, Cleveland will be a different kind of team. Miami is going. I mean, going up that whole up and down that East Coast, Philadelphia is going to look different. They're going, they possibly could be stronger than they ever have been. Boston's going to be stronger again and healthy. It's going to look different. Not only do you have people in different places, but I think you're going to find that as you look at the East and West Coast, there's going to be some different challenges out there. Golden State's going to be a problem. I don't care how they look at it. I don't care what they say. Golden State's going to be a problem. But on the East Coast, it could be extremely interesting, I think.
Right. Did you? I saw where the write-up today was Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward coming into camp full speed.
Yeah. Hayward's been full speed toward the end of the season, he was really uh, uh, doing a lot then. He was working out then, but obviously there was no need to bring him in back. So that's going to be interesting, along with the talent that they already had. It's going to be interesting to see how they put that on the floor. That's going to be a challenge for Brad Stevens. But I like the way that young man coaching philosophy. I think they'll find a way to put it together. Because at the bottom line, at the end of the day, the bottom line is about winning.
Yeah. Did you see where Swaggy P was arrested for refusing to cooperate with the police?
We've heard that narrative before. That's a frustrating thing for me, is that we just repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again. There's a way to deal with that. There's a way to point out injustices in that. Stop being a part of the problem. Let's try to be a part of the solution.
I did not know that the Miami Hurricane was ranked as high as they were, because I miss the old days, Vince. I miss when the college football championship went through Florida some kind of way. It either had to go through Miami, it had to go through Florida State, or it had to go through Florida some kind of way. But I miss the Hurricanes being, on top. Well, Florida, period. Because the three main schools was always in the top 10. Always in the top 20. Always had something to do with championship.
And that represents the problem that you're facing now, that talent's being distributed and around the state and outside of the state. So now you got new coaches coming in, and hopefully they can rekindle some of that by getting out on there and bringing some of the best talent around and capturing some of this talent that's already here. You got a new coach at Florida State. You got a new coach at University of Florida, and the guy in Miami, I think this is his second year there, third year. So it could make for interesting interstate ball, but it is a challenge getting back to that point that you talk about, because the recruitment now is so different. At one time they had, I always felt that University of Florida had an exclusive because of the performance they were having on the field. Florida State had and Miami, when they were in their up years, everybody wanted to go there. But now kids are going all over the country to play ball. UCF is in the mix now. So there's another part of that pie that has to be divvied up in this state. And after that undefeated season that they put on there, kids want to go where success is. And so it's going to be interesting to see what they bring to the table. So I'd like to get it back to where it's going through Florida, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, see, I think they're ranked number 8 right now, but see, like the first couple of weeks, the rankings are always kind of screwed up, because nobody's played.
That's somebody's opinion about what they think's going to happen until they actually get out on that field. Like Alabama's playing this weekend, and everybody assumes that, and they may very well go out there and win, but they're just assuming. I was watching Saban in their preseason or spring ball, or coming up into the season. He's reminding them we got to play every down of every game. Don't be listening to what people say and what they expect for you to do. Here's what you have to do. Trying to keep them grounded and focus on the task at hand. Don't let the papers tell you that you're gonna go 10-0. You got to go 1 week at a time and win one game each Saturday. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, what's been in the news with Alabama is, and it's funny too, because I was hearing some of the sports talk show, and I wanted your opinion on this as well, because that old saying that you don't lose your starting position to an injury, but that's not. I don't think that's what really happened, though. But then they were saying here, I think you're like 24 or 26-2. And now you're fighting for a starting, position, but to me, it's like that was yesterday. Today is a new day. So when the season starts, this is a brand new season. So you got to go out and prove that you need to be a starter.
Well, as a veteran, expect you to outperform all the other players, because you're a veteran. You started last year. You're a veteran ball player. So it's my assumption that yes, you must still compete, but I expect you to outplay him. Now, if this kid outplays you, Okay, now that I got to look at that because I got to put the best on the field. And the young man stepped in and did a great job. And it has long been said, and I kind of agree with. And I've heard it in basketball and baseball as well, and football. You don't lose your job because it's not your fault. But if a kid goes out there and performs at such a high level, you got to go with team chemistry, efficiency. You don't want to break that up too much, but so how do you handle that? We go back in camp. I'm gonna give you the ball, but you got to keep it. You got to
Right.
keep the ball. I'm gonna give it to you because you earned it as a veteran, and you were my starting quarterback, and I'm 24 and whatever with you. However, this young man coming in, he outdo you. Guess who I'm gonna get the ball to? So
Yeah.
that's good competition. Good competition. Build strength and camaraderie in the team.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
young man should win out.
Yeah. I also saw in the news where the Milwaukee, and I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with that arrest that took place in Milwaukee with Sterling Brown, but
Yes.
yeah, and the Milwaukee attorney defends the police arrest of the Bucks Sterling Brown.
Hmm.
Even though they came out, didn't they apologize?
Something to that effect. They made an apology, but I expect from the toe the line on that. You can't afford to let them be wrong again. Sometimes just be. I mean, tell the truth. We made a bad decision. We apologize. And let's clean it up and go get on down the highway. And rather than to insult people and say, "Well, no, I defend you," it was a righteous arrest. No, it wasn't. And by no means, let's be honest. You've acknowledged that it was a bad call. We apologize for that call, and we really apologize, and we're going to do everything we can to correct it. If it doesn't happen again, let's get on down the road. It's that simple. It's really just that simple. But when you complicate it by lying about it and then insulting people by saying, "Well, I stand," now we invoke continuous conversation narratives, and we back arguing again.
What if if I was to ask you right now about RG3 and his story? What is it that you would say about RG3? Because they were talking about
Underperformed.
that the Ravens are going to play the Redskins, but he's not starting. So I mean, but
RG,
because here you had Andrew Luck,
luck.
and you
Hmm.
had RG3, and
Hmm.
there was all the whole, well, who should you take, one or two, blah 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 blah.
As
And
always in these debates, though, Charles, what people feel, which is my opinion, let me put it this way. It's hard to compare them. They're two different kinds of quarterbacks. They have two different skill sets. It's just based on what you want to do. What's your style? Are you a drop back team and you can put a good pocket around there? Luck is the guy. I thought Luck was overrated, in
mhm.
my opinion. But nevertheless, that's the kind of team. Now, if you're a running team, roll out, RG was your guy. You want a running quarterback, RG is your guy. So it depends on what you have that you want. What's your style of play? I think they both underperform. I think RG, in my opinion, ran that ball too much. If you want to be a running back, then you need to be a running back. And, but you running, putting yourself at risk. You're a running target, and I think those injuries caught up with him, and it kind of hurt him. And then people put that pressure on him. He can't play his style of game. Certainly, he's not going to perform well. But the same thing. He was supposed to have been a drop back quarter. He couldn't stay healthy, and that's not maybe not his fault. But I thought he was overrated coming out, and he's struggling now trying to get his feet back up under him. So neither one of them has really met the success that I think they were. That what people would say they would meet. Now it's about coming back, and RG has had a much more appears to be much more difficult coming back. Well, Luck, I saw him play a little bit in the preseason. He looked okay, but obviously he's rusty. It's just that's tough, man. That quarterback is a tough thing. That's a tough position.
Well, with RG3, of course, they said that he with Shanahan, I think that he came back too soon from his injury. I don't, well, whether or not he was trying
Possibility.
to
Yeah.
prove
Yeah.
something, but he came back too soon, and I think that's according to the sports uh, talk show, that's what
That's
hurt
very
him because
possible.
you know
Yeah. It's very just took just had a refresher course. in injury prevention and how to deal with athletes and injuries. Specific, we were talking about cardiac arrest and concussions, and one of the things they talk about in that concussion protocol is about bringing that kid back too soon. And while the kid may be saying, "Listen, man, I feel good. I'm ready to go." There's some other things that are going on that young man or young lady may not be feeling right now that you need to be cognizant of. And a lot of the NFL that's been their previous history is getting guys back too soon. I think they've changed that policy now where they're a little bit more deliberate, but that was a common occurrence. That was a very common occurrence. You're okay, a little smelling sauce, you know where you are, yeah, go ahead and put him back in. So now you got to clean that up, and then he relied very heavily on his mobility. You take that away, he's a different kind of quarterback. He's a whole different kind of quarterback because he was never really a pocket quarterback. And now you got him back there, so now he's got to learn that. He's got to learn that skill set, and in the NFL is a tough place to learn. You got to bring something with you. You can't go there and try to learn it. So all of those factors could probably be true. I'll give him credit for staying in there and trying to come back at it and put it up. Same thing with Luck. He didn't give up. He's still trying to come back and get his day back on his team. And I wish him well in that because that's tough.
Yeah, well, with Luck, actually now, I mean, because we knew about his shoulder, but right now he has a foot injury. So
yeah.
So,
it's tough, man. I mean, and it appears as though a lot of time when you get one, you're susceptible to a second one.
right.
Almost like a car. You got a bad hose here. As soon as you fix that bad hose causes other hose to go bad. So when you fix this hose, then the other hose, one of those type of situations. But
Right.
I admire those guys for pursuing their dream, putting that time in, because I understand when you've been playing as long as some of these guys, you don't want to quit. You stay in there and you want to make sure that I gave it everything I had before I had to stop, before I had to give it up.
Yeah. Okay. You are ready for the?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for my sprint.
Okay. Let me pull this up real quick. I got a couple of interesting questions here for you there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You ready? Here we go.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Did you attend your high school prom?
Yes.
Okay. What's the name of the girl you took to the prom?
Sarah.
Sarah. Okay, Sarah's the girl that you took to the prom, but what's the name of the girl you really wanted to take to the prom?
Barbara.
Okay. After the show, I'm going to have to ask you about Barbara. The last time you attended your high school class reunion?
Oh my God. It's been 30 years ago.
Oh, really?
I had to think. I think I went to the 10 years, and I haven't been back since.
Oh, wow. Oh,
It was 10 or
okay.
20, one or two of them, but I've only been to the one.
Okay. Now, back in the day, now you and I will understand this. Back in the day, we used to carry our little lunch buckets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was your character on your lunch bucket? Remember,
It was either Superman or the Green Hornet.
oh, okay. All right. Okay. Speaking of, what was your favorite hero growing up? Was it Superman, Spider-Man, The Flash?
Actually, it was Superman.
Superman. Okay. The last time you played the drum seriously?
Ooh, that's been probably 20 years ago.
How long?
About 20 years ago.
Okay. Will anyone ever catch Bill Russell in rings?
I think so, but I think we got another few years before that happens.
Okay. Have you ever seen Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell play in person?
No,
Okay. Will LeBron ever catch Michael in rings?
I don't. I'm probably being a little biased, but I say no.
Okay. Do you watch the Big Three?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. Do you think Kobe will play in the Big Three next year?
No.
Where were you when you got your first call for the first time that you were going to be a grandfather?
On the highway.
I was going to ask
Yeah,
you
I was
something else, but
driving.
you was
Mm.
you was on the highway. Did you almost did you almost have an accident?
Well, almost because I thought they were joking.
Oh yeah.
I thought they were joking, and they said no. I pulled over. I had to pull over and celebrate that a little bit. Like, are you serious? Are you serious? What? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to have to add a question. I was going to ask you a question, but I'll wait until next week on that
Okay.
question there that you just answered. So actually, you know what? How long
Hmm.
have you been a grandfather now?
Oh my God. Um. Oh my Jesus. Let's see. I'm trying to put age in these things. At least 17 years.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's
All
seven.
right.
No, she might be more than that. She might be more than that. It's probably longer than that. I'm
Oh.
underestimating their age. Uh, but it's been a while. I've been a grandfather for quite a while.
The Browns are release Michael Kendricks after he was charged with inside trading. What I mean, what's up with
Mhm.
that? He's
You
a
know,
he's a linebacker.
well, that's that moral clause, and I'm kind of feeling good about not that this young man got caught in that, but I just think the league needs to clean it up a little bit and treat these guys like regular human beings. Because if it was you and I, and that happened, that's what would happen to us. So not setting them apart or making them above the law. You do it. I don't care what you play. If you're wrong, you're wrong.
What's what's up with Dez Bryant? I mean, what's I mean? It seems like every week we're talking about Dez. I mean, what's up with him?
It kind of appears to me, and I don't know if this is true or not because I'm not ready to be that way. It's almost like Dez just has a PR campaign, just keep his name out there, and kind of like To used to do is just constantly create some kind of confusion to have the name in the place because that Dez just sign with somebody and go ahead and play, and he tends to. I don't get it. I don't quite understand why he just if you want to play, go play. If you don't want to play, then don't play.
But it's not like people like knocking his door down. I mean, I could see if he
But he's
was.
got a couple of people that want him. I mean, if you don't want to play for them, then that's your call. But I don't know whether Dez is not willing to accept the fact that he's older. I mean, you're not the prominent receiver that you once were. You're still a highly respected receiver, and still efficient. But you just don't have the same status that you had before because you're older. You you got to face. A lot of guys that have struggle with that. Uh, there's a lot of guys are struggling with I can't do what I used to do, but they still believe that they can. I was one of those. I've come to realize there's some things I would love to do that I just can't do anymore. At least not at the same level. There's some things I got to cut out. Period. I just can't do that anymore. It's just not going to be there. So, and I see a professional athlete with that kind of exposure and that kind of money. I'm just going to say the psychological effect of some of those guys is tough. When the crowd stop cheering, the lights stop coming on, and you're just a regular guy. Some of them don't know how to make that adjustment.
Right. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that as we sit and we talk about basketball a lot, but football was your sport.
I really, yeah, I went to college on a football scholarship. I really,
Right.
I think my claim to fame was I got looked at a couple of NFL teams. Obviously, it didn't work out, but um, um,
Right. So,
I had that opportunity.
right. So my question that I want to ask, if your phone rang and said, we want to hire you in the NFL to be on our staff, and then 2 minutes later the phone rang and the NBA called and said, we want to hire you on our staff to coach, which one would you go coach?
NBA.
Really?
Yeah, I over the years I put so much time into this to learn this game to try to be. And let me say it like this. And football was almost a natural thing for me. I grew up in that environment, and I thought I was a good athlete, and I did really well at it. I reasonably well. Because and I was a good football player, and I'm not saying I didn't work at it, but I did. But I have brought some talent with me. Where in basketball, I've had to kind of learn it from the ground up again. While the little bit of playing I was doing, not the technical side of the game, I had to put so much time into it, and now, right now, I would be more excited about coaching basketball than I would be football.
No. Now, if the phone call came, and let's just say you accepted, okay, let's just say you accepted the basketball and to be on the
Hmm.
staff, you would be comfortable coaching the offense or the defense
Defense.
in football. If you decided to go with the football, you would be coaching the linebackers, you would be coaching the wide receivers, you would be coaching the quarterback, you would be coaching.
Running backs. I'd be on the offensive side of the ball, and I'd have the running backs and maybe a little bit of the quarterback, but definitely the running backs.
Wow, that's it's interesting because you know, because I hear you talk about basketball, but
Yeah.
I'm a little shocked that you would pick the basketball over the football.
There's something about the game that has fascinated me, which is one of the reasons I stopped pursuing football. At one time, I was pursuing them both, looking for the first opportunity that came along. But I got involved in basketball and just became fascinated by it. There's so much. I learned so much about it, and have spent so much time in it, and actually had a chance to coach it more. So I guess at this stage, while I still understand football and still are passionate about it, still follow it a little bit, especially from the technical side, that basketball has me, man. It's something about that game. It just in cap,
But
just
but but
my
how do
imagination.
you coach it now? Because remember, I was telling you, I think it was last week, a week before last, that someone had been trying to get me to come coach for the last 3 or 4 years to get back into coaching. Some
Hmm.
inner city kids, which it's been heavy on my heart. But then, I told you the reason why I coach girls is because I'm about the fundamentals of the game, and I just want to teach the game.
Hmm.
Understanding that now that it's different.
Different.
It's totally
Yeah.
different, and
Well,
and and I have to mentally try to mature
yes.
myself to understand how to coach these kids nowadays because they're
Hmm.
different than how we were when we were growing
Right.
up. So
Well,
I told him that I
yeah.
would go and shadow him and try my see if I could do this. But how is
Well,
it
I
different for
think
you now?
it'd be critical for you to be around someone who, first of all, that you respect and that you think they're doing it the right way, because that's going to help your transition back into the game. Because a lot of what you have can be used. It just has to be used differently. It's not so you're bringing a lot to the table. Just got to shape it a little bit different. For me, I've been coaching high school basketball almost 9 years. So, and then I was coaching AAU YBOA for the last 20 some years while coaching football. So I've been there over and over, and I've watched this transition. I've been involved, and I struggle with some of that transition, especially that initial. As time has passed, I'm learning how to deal with that. A different culture of kid, eccentricity is all of those factors will come in now that I think I got a standard. that I work from, and I try to make that standard fit, not fit them, but me fit them. I don't fit my standard. I take my standard and fit them. So I do the same thing. I get out of it what I want, but I've learned how to deal with these different differences. So it's a constant for me. Yeah, there's been no break. I haven't had a chance to see anything any different. I just know it's another class coming in. Here's what we're going to do. Here's our goals. Now, how we get to that goal changes, but the goal itself still exists. So I think that's the greatest advantage I have at the moment.
I mean, I mean, we've talked about it before. That transition from when did you see it? And I don't know if you can, I just think it just happened. I don't know, but when do you? Can you kind of like think about when it started to change for you, or when these new sets of mindsets,
Well,
kids, and as it started to
well,
change?
I think for me, I saw the transition in the street before I saw it on the court. Because that same kid that I was working with through Midnight Basketball, through my other volunteer efforts and programs that we were dealing with, that's the same kid that ended up on the basketball court. So I kind of had a preview of what he was like, or that generation along from the pickup ball and all that kind of stuff. So by the time I got to high school and that kid was coming, I kind of had, oh, here, I know what I'm looking at now. Maybe a little surprised to see it, but I knew what I was looking at. So that transition started taking place. I really don't have, and I've thought about, can I say exactly when that was? I really cannot say, but it was a good thing. But what happened, what was going on around us already in the collegiate and professional level. In high school, it just finally got down to high school, and here it is. And it kind of happens without people really recognizing it as it, because it didn't happen all at one time. It gradually came along, and when you looked up, there it is. That AAU thing with the shoe companies and all that has affected what we're looking at today. And by the way, I wanted to mention to you, I saw an article. They were talking about the NCAA and the USA basketball about the junior player,
Hmm.
and they had come up with that decision, and now they got the NBA involved, and now the NBA is, because they're leaning toward eliminating the one and done. So now the NBA announces a partnership with the NCAA and USBA for junior players. In essence, what this is, and let me briefly just tell you a little bit about it. And this is interesting to hear them say this, because the goal is to build on its existing development program to provide a on and off the court development opportunity for more than 800 top U.S. high school players, many of whom will enter into the NBA draft. Again, if you can recall, previously they were going to identify that high-end player that they were, which I thought I could see how you could get to that, but this is what they're talking about. The program will also highlight positive decision making, healthy relationships, and cultural understanding and diversity, leadership and character development, college eligibility, and recruiting, according to an NBA email. We believe this vibrant program will not only assist the player in their on-court development, but will also assist them in their families with life skills, health and wellness knowledge, so that will last a lifetime. USA Basketball Chairman, retired General Martin Dempsey said in a joint statement. Commissioner Silver went on to say that in July, the league is ready to abolish the one-on-one rule, which stipulates players must be 19 years old or 1 year removed from their high school graduation to be drafted. So that's coming. And
Hmm.
so this was announced on the day. I think it's, while it may not be perfect, but it is addressing that individual who wants to come right out of high school and get
Right.
themselves involved in opportunity. I think that's necessary. And I think what makes this viable now, where it may not be 100%,
Hmm.
but it does. You got all the players involved now. Where before the NBA was left on the outside, they felt like I have no input in it. I don't know what you're talking about. Now everybody's kind of come together, and this is going to make this thing, I think, much more viable than it was before. So it's some of the issues though, because the NBA was caught off guard last time when the NCAA and USA basketball came up with this. But Charles, I'm gonna go back just a minute. I'm looking at it here. This is interesting, and this might kind of reach to what you and I were talking about in your summit. Program will also highlight positive decision making, healthy relationships,
Mm-hmm.
cultural understanding, diversity, leadership, and character development. And then they're going to also talk about collegiate eligibility and the art of recruiting, or the principles of recruiting. Those are very, very, in my opinion, you may be able to add this, that, and the other, and they probably do. You can make a case for that. But that's a great way to get started, because those are some of the fundamental issues that you have right now, not only at that level, but even in the high school level. We need to build healthy relationships. We need to understand what we're looking at. We need to understand player relationship, a coach and parent and coach, and all those type of things. That may not be 100% comprehensive enough, but I think it's a great start. I'm liking it so far, based on just that alone. So that's an update, if you will, but I think it's a
Right.
positive step to providing that opportunity for that player.
Yeah, and the thing is, and this is a topic that we can talk about next week. And I don't know if you noticed, you had a phone call from me a few days ago, and I called you.
And
But the reason why I
I,
called
I'm
you was, no, reason why I called you was around like 7 o'clock in, let me see, yes, somewhere around in there. But I called you about 3 or 4 days ago, and
mhm.
because I got a call and would like to talk about it next show. But evidently there are some players that are, I think they said over at Winter Park High School,
Mhm.
they are being suspended or not allowed to play
Mhm.
because I'm going to do a little bit more research. But this was the phone call that came to me, was because now they found that their addresses, they shouldn't be going to school there. But you know what that is. So you already know what that
Oh
is.
yeah.
Right,
Oh
right,
yeah.
right. So,
Yeah.
but I want to talk about that in that whole thing again, with the summit and all of that other stuff. But yeah, but
Mhm.
supposedly these are supposed to be some good athletes, and now they're crying about they may not be, that they may lose their scholarships. But we can talk about that as well.
Well, there's a lot of conversation about that that's been going on down there. Oak Ridge had some kids that they were deemed ineligible for a minute, and I think they ended up coming back and allowing them to play, and they had a fantastic season on the basketball side. But there was supposed to have been a ruling taking place there
Right.
in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
where you could go where you wanted to under some certain criteria, which I'm not 100% familiar with yet.
Right.
And so it kind of surprised me, if that's the case, how these kids are not eligible. So maybe part of it is where you live.
Right.
But I
Yeah,
thought they
I
were
wanted to do a little bit
eliminating.
more. Yeah, I want to do a little bit more research on it, because when they called me, they said it was in the news, and I was looking for it, but I didn't find it. But I didn't look that hard. And that's when I
Yeah,
called you. But
yeah,
I'm gonna
because
see if I can find out a little bit more information on it.
yeah, because I was under the impression that once they passed that, it doesn't. You can go to any school you want to. It didn't matter where you live. Now, maybe they haven't gotten to that point yet, and they are still basing it on where you actually live, which is the way it used to be, and quite honestly, the way it should be, especially at the collegiate. I mean, at the high school level, you live in that area, because if you did that, a lot of these teams and their abilities would change because you're playing. You're playing with what you got in your district. Just like when I was coaching AAU basketball at one time. There was a thing about grades, and then about age. If you you coaching a team based on age, a lot of skill level changes. Now you got to be a certain age, and then you play on this team, or then you got grades and stuff. So it was a competition between, well, do we want to use grade level, or do we want to use age level? Big controversy.
Right.
YBOA and AAU, they were against it. One was doing one or the other. Now I think they all kind of come together and say, hey, listen, we're going to do it one way, trying to keep the playing field level, and not give everybody an advantage. Uh, I, I still say this, Charles, and I will continue, and I tell this to anybody I talk to when they talk about cleaning it up. I say, listen, anytime you keep score, that creates competition. People want to win. The old
Right.
gray wide where we don't keep score, we just play. That's different. That's gone.
Right.
That's gone. We're not gonna see that anymore. If you keeping
Right.
score, because I tell them, they'll ask me, say, well, how do you feel? If you're keeping score, I want to win. I'm playing to win because I want to get more than you have. But that's
but
natural.
but
I
but
think
the
that's what this is all
but
about.
Vince, the question and the problem is for a lot of us, at what cost? At what cost? And that's
Well,
generally what the problem is.
that's the value. That's the real value is that when you do that now, you do cause people to come. I don't think so far I can say I have tried to do it the right way. I don't. I haven't cheated. I haven't in that kind of stuff. I've taken advantage of what you give me now. Whatever loophole you leave out there, I'm gonna take advantage of it. But I won't. I don't because I don't believe in that. And but that's the issue you got. People take it too far. I
Right.
want to win as bad as anybody. I mean at anything. But I think we do that through hard work. I think we do that through preparation. I think we do that by our mental preparation, our physical preparation, our strategy, our IQ. We get out there and we overpower you with our ability to execute. But not everybody looks at it like that.
Right.
They're,
Okay.
they're quick fix, and I don't believe in the quick fix.
Right. Okay.
I don't believe in the quick
Well,
fix.
again, I'm Charles Morris, and this is the original Coach Carter,
Coach Carter,
where we come
glad to be with you. Always a pleasure.
where we come to your way every Wednesday at 11 p.m., 10 p.m. his time. He's in Tennessee, and you're getting ready to go to a football game. Cookman and who?
Yes, I'm going. I'm having the pleasure of watching Tennessee State and Bethune-Cookman play this Saturday here in Nashville, Tennessee. I get a chance to see the marching Wildcats against the Tennessee State
Okay.
Tigers, I think they are. And I get a chance to hear the up close and personal the voice of a very good friend of mine, the silk and magical voice of Ken Moore,
Soup.
the voice of the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats
That's Super Ken. That's
marching
Super
band.
Ken Moore.
Super Ken, Super Ken.
Okay. All right. Well, I know he said he was looking forward to the trip, so uh, wishing him and the team safe travel there and back and
Yes.
everything, and
Hmm.
good game. It's always a great game when at the end of the game there's no injuries, and
Yeah,
everybody get to
absolutely.
go home
Yeah.
safe
Beat
and
home,
sound.
everybody walk away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Amen.
Okay. All right. Well, you make sure that you subscribe to us there on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and we're on Periscope and Twitter and all of that. So right here at www.youthcentralsports.com, where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Happy to be here with you, and as I would say, enjoy the rest of your week. And you can say bye, Coach. You can say bye.
See you later. Come back and see us.